Live better and longer with the Fitzness Show, hosted by fitness expert, author, and TV personality Fitz Kohler. She'll tell you why diets are dumb, supplements are snake oil, and the truth about how you can earn a lean, hard, pain-free, and athletic body. Now for our favorite bossy blonde, Fitz Kohler.
Hi team, I'm Fitz Kohler, your mega bossy fitness pro from Fitzness.com, and welcome to the Fitzness Show. Today, she's back. You've heard her before and you requested her, so I thought, I'm a woman of the people. You ask and you receive. I have my favorite registered dietitian, Tara Collingwood, on the show. And usually she comes on and we talk about nutrition exclusively. I say, here's some questions and she gives some answers. And you know, I love the Q's and the A's. However, today, Tara, because she's just so much more than a registered dietitian, right? She's got a lot of experience as an athlete and a person. She's been through all sorts of interesting things. I'll let her tell you about that. But I said, Tara, I want you to give me 10 things that we want people to know, or that you want people to know. And those episodes we've done in the past have been very popular. And so, yeah, I don't even know what she's going to come at me with. I just said, give me 10 things you want the world at large to know, to do better and be better. And here she is, the one and only Tara Collingwood. Hello.
Hey. I love that you do this 10 things. And I super love that you didn't look at them first, which I'm just shocked. I don't know if I could do that. I'm so nosy.
Well, you know, what's so funny is that pretty much everybody I've had as a guest has sent me their list. And in my mind, I don't even think, because I tell you, you say whatever you want, but everyone sends me the list. And I have to say, no, I'm not going to look at your list because I just want to hear it or receive it as you say it. But that was very cute of you to send me the list, but it's your list and hopefully things that you're on a soapbox about.
Yes. Yeah. So you said, it's not going to be all nutrition. So my first few are nutrition related. Okay. And then we kind of get into some other things. I actually have a bonus number 11 because of course, you have to, but you're going to like number 11.
Of course I will. Of course I will. Also, before we get started, sometimes we wait for the end of the show, but where can people find you if they want to follow you on Instagram or your website?
Yes. So just remember Diet Diva. I am dietdiva.net is my website. And on Instagram, it's at Diet Diva Tara, Tara. And also Facebook. I have a Diet Diva Facebook, and then I also have my personal Facebook. Either one works. But most of the things I put on Instagram also go over on the Facebook. And then, of course, LinkedIn is a good place.
Either works. Also, I have to ask, since we're here, and I've never asked before, how come, and I'm sure your mom decided this, Tara and not Tara?
Yeah, that's a good question. You would have to ask my parents. My mom, I have, and she said, I just like the sound of it better. I like Tara instead of Tara. And it's funny because my husband is from South Africa and he has to tell people, no, it's Tara. It's not just my accent. And so that people don't, mistaken the pronunciation.
Oh, well, it took me a few years to get right. I know sometimes I'd throw out Tara and I was like, I wanted to strangle myself, but it's ingrained in me now. Yay.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so let's hit it. Number 1, what do you want people to know?
Number 1 is that carbs are not the devil.
That's right.
We have been fighting this for years, as you know. And so here's what I always say is that most people eat way too many carbohydrates. That is the truth. Okay. You probably eat too many carbohydrates. But does that mean I go from eating way too many carbohydrates to cut them out and do keto and do Atkins and do 0 carbohydrates or 30 grams of carbohydrates or whatever? No. So I think there's a huge gray area in between of, I'm eating too much and, I should cut them out completely. And that area is, guess what? Fruits, vegetables, whole grains, beans, like really good stuff. I'm happy if you want to cut out a lot of the, junk carbohydrates from added sugars and some of the other, French fries, whatever. And I'm not saying that I cut those all out, which we'll talk about, but, if you want to cut back on your carbohydrates, I'm all for that, but don't completely cut them out. And you actually need them even during, especially intense exercise or long exercise. You deal with a lot of marathoners, half marathoners. You need carbohydrates to keep going during those races. Gatorade was invented for a reason, to have carbohydrates in it, not just electrolytes. And so a lot of these, electrolyte, 0 calorie, 0 sports drinks are out now because carbs are bad. No, they're not. You need carbohydrates if you're doing, again, the longer exercise. Rule of thumb is more than 60 minutes.
Okay, so tell people what happens if you do cut out carbs completely. You're on the fat and meat diet. What happens?
Well, you're constipated. Let's just point out that, a lot of the fruits and vegetables and whole grains and beans have fiber. So that can actually be, we laugh, but it actually is a very big problem for some people that aren't doing enough carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are energy. Your body's preferred source of energy is carbohydrate. And so people can tend to literally kind of run out of energy and feel very lethargic. And it's just hard for your body to process all of that protein and fat. And you will lose weight initially because your glycogen stores, which are your carbohydrate stores in your body, also hang on to a lot of water. Right. When you deplete your carbohydrate stores, you deplete your water stores. Even if you're drinking a ton of water, you still just won't have that storage in there. And so it's a little misleading when you step on the scale and go, oh, I lost 5 pounds. Well, what'd you lose? You didn't lose 5 pounds of fat. You lost maybe a little bit of fat, maybe even a little bit of muscle, and probably quite a bit of water as well. So I just don't see a benefit. Most people that go to the 0 to very low carbohydrate diets don't make it far. And they end up, adding those carbohydrates back.
Yeah. I think people would be very surprised, other than my listeners who already know this, but I'm pretty sure my body composition is like 67% potato. I just love potatoes. The fact that anyone has villainized potatoes makes me cranky.
Absolutely. I am a huge fan of it. In fact, I just read an article the other day of a woman who is 114 years old, and she's like going to be in the Guinness book soon if she, makes it much longer, of one of the longest living, human beings. And she said that her number one food, potatoes.
Hell yeah. That's going to be me. 114, baby.
And we're talking white potatoes. I mean, sweet potatoes are good too, but people think, oh, sweet potatoes only, but white potatoes actually have a higher ORAC score, which is the oxygen radical absorbance capacity. So higher antioxidant score than sweet potatoes. So just because it's white doesn't mean that it's necessarily bad, because it's white by nature, not white by processing.
Oh, that's a great way to put it. You're so smart. You're so smart. And I'm going to eat a potato tonight just for you and for me. Okay. Number 2.
All right. So I know that you think supplements are snake oil salesmen, but
weight loss supplements. Yes.
Weight loss supplements. Okay. Fine. Perfect. Weight loss supplements. And they absolutely are. And a lot of them, what they do is they just rev up your heart rate because it's like speed and caffeine. And, that's not going to, again, produce long weight loss. But I think that you have to supplement smartly. So that's kind of just one of my top 10 tips is, look at supplements as a supplement. It's not intended to replace anything in your diet, but it's intended to supplement where you might have some shortfalls. And we do have shortfalls just as a general population in, for example, vitamin D. There's not very much vitamin D in our food supply. And even though you and I live in Florida, we are putting sunscreen on, and, and if you live north of kind of the latitude of Atlanta between October and May, even if you are shoveling snow in your Speedo, you're not going to get enough bioavailable vitamin D. So vitamin D is a necessary one. Omega-3, we know that those omega-3 fish oils, the DHA, the EPA are good for our brain, good for our heart, good for our cholesterol. I'm a big fan of creatine, and it's not just a, muscle 16-year-old boy thing. It's really good for us women too. It helps to protect your brain. It can help maintain maybe some of that muscle as we age. Let's see what else. Probiotics, good for the gut, and your gut really dictates so much of your immune system. So I just think there's some good supplements out there, but you definitely want to be aware of brands. You want to be aware of, doses, and, do the tried and true kind of, supplements that have a lot of research behind them, like a lot of the ones that I just mentioned.
Okay, so questions. Two. Number one is I always tell folks just get your blood work done. Have an actual medical professional take your blood. And then when there's some deficiencies, meet with someone like you, registered dietitian. So you're not just going to the quote unquote, I hate even the word that they call it a nutrition store because I want to punch them in the face over that. They have some minimum wage employees who used to sell couches, now selling you ingestibles. I think the proper formula for finding the proper supplementation for you is the blood work and then a professional consultation. What do you say about that? And could people be more willy-nilly about what they choose?
So, it's not always going to show up in blood work. So I love that, and you can get your vitamin D tested. Actually, there is a test for omega-3 status, for example, but there's certain things and you can do, I guess a gut test for your, and do a poop test for your probiotics and stuff like that. But not everything is, you can test for it. So I think, talking to a dietitian, a registered dietitian, they can do a food recall. They can look at what you're eating and go, you know what? I don't see any sources of magnesium, vitamin C, blah, 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 and so I recommend that you might want to, increase with these foods, but also potentially take a supplement. I mean, if you're iron deficient, for example, just eating more, especially if you're a vegetarian, you might want to take an iron supplement. So there are certain cases, or if you have joint problems, you might want to think about glucosamine. Well, there isn't a blood test to test for that, but could a glucosamine supplement help with my joints? Potentially. Collagen, there's a lot of supplements out there that do have some good research that you have to look at what am I ailing with or what am I trying to prevent, and then talk to someone who knows kind of the ins and outs and can help guide you to a trusted brand and dosage and all that stuff.
Okay, so you just had on the trusted brand. So I get some sort of email, I'm not even sure who it's from, but it was showing that the top 6 creatine supplement sales on Amazon were tested and almost none of them actually had creatine in them. So how do people find a quality supplement provider that's not, since it's unregulated, people can claim, I could tell you my cup of water is filled with creatine and nobody will arrest me for it. So how do people figure that out?
Right. Yeah. And that's the hard part with the supplements. And it's kind of the wild, wild west where you just don't know. And a lot of, like creatine is really hot right now. And so there's a lot of companies just touting it and they may or may not have it in there. So I look for brands. I work with a lot of athletes. And so those athletes have to make sure that those supplements don't have any banned substances in them, because I work with Olympic and professional and whatever athletes that literally get drug tested on a regular basis. So I look for NSF certification. So NSF certified for sport is one way. Also informed choice is another one. These are certifications that you can see, and in USP is also another good one for supplements. So and I have on my website some of the brands that I tend to recommend as well. So, I think just sort of doing a little bit of research and looking for some of those and looking how long the company has been in existence too, and looking if they have research on their site and, have they done their own research on their products, or are they just a fly by night that is, trying to tout something?
Okay. So on the bottle, we're looking for NSP certification. What are the other two you said?
NSF is the sport, NSF for sport.
Okay.
And then informed choice. And then USP is not a sport one, but it's another one that a lot of supplement companies will have as a certification.
Well, right there, that's a humdinger. I think a lot of people are writing that down right now, because really, you could be buying nothing but air and they could be telling you it's filled with all sorts of good stuff. So that's
exactly, or potentially dangerous stuff,
or worse. Right. Yeah. Right. And I'm going to add on, if you're on any sort of medication for heart disease or diabetes or cancer or whatever, you definitely need to meet with a registered dietitian before you start taking supplements, because they could be pretty ugly paired with certain drugs, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a lot of drug supplement interactions that you need to be aware of, for sure. Yeah. Thanks for remembering to say that.
Say things. Okay. Number 3.
All right. Number 3. So we talked about carbs. So now let's talk about protein. So just like carbs are the devil, everybody thinks that protein is the savior. And they're
Right.
just eating protein, protein, protein at every, chance they can get, and overdosing on protein, I feel like, these days. And there's always this information out there, oh, you need to have at least 1 gram per pound body weight. And really what the research shows is that's the maximum you should have, is 1 gram per pound body weight, as a rule of thumb. So, I just want people to know that yes, we need protein, and yes, you want to spread the protein out throughout the day. And I'm a big fan of protein at breakfast, because a lot of people, if you think about traditional breakfast foods of bagels and cereals and oatmeal and pancakes and stuff like that, it's very carb heavy. So if we can add a little bit more protein and have those eggs or Greek yogurt or protein powder in a smoothie, kind of stuff, then that helps to actually keep your appetite like a little, give you satiety, so keeps it longer before you get hungry. And so I'm a big fan of protein, but I do feel like it's just kind of been blown out of the water, where everything you see now is like protein enhanced and extra protein and protein powders everywhere and that kind of stuff.
Yes, that's it. That's my response to that. Is yes. Brilliant. Love it. Okay. Number 4.
All right, number 4 is vegetarian diets. So I know you and I are both vegetarians, and I'm a lacto-ovo, which I believe you are as well. Lacto-ovo vegetarian, which means we eat milk products, dairy products,
Correct.
Cheese, yogurt, all that. That's the lacto part, and then ovo is eggs. Is that you as well?
That is me, yes.
Okay, and do you eat any fish?
None. Nothing
Okay.
that has a face or a mom.
Yeah, I used to eat a little fish. I mean, I do every once in a while, maybe once a month. So it's really not that much. But, so here's the deal, is that I hardly ever tell people that I am a vegetarian, because, and I know that you don't lead with it all the time either, because I feel like in the industry that we're in, if I'm sitting there telling everyone I'm a vegetarian, they think they have to be a vegetarian to be healthy. And that's not true. You can absolutely be a meat eater and be healthy. And so, this vegetarian and vegan craze kind of comes and goes every like 5 to 7 to 10 years.
Yeah.
And so a couple of years ago, it was really hot again, and everyone was doing, the vegan or plant-based diet, and everyone should be eating a plant-based diet. That means the majority of your food comes from plants, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, beans, but some can come from animal, protein. And so I just want people to, that's kind of my soapbox, is like, even though I've been a vegetarian since longer than a lot of people have been alive, 1992, thank you very much. When I went to college is when I was like, done, I'm not eating meat anymore. My mom and dad aren't going to make me. And so I just said, no, I'm just going to do, the things that I like to eat. And I love dairy. I'm from Wisconsin, so they don't let you back in the state unless you continue to eat.
It's got to get your cheese.
So, but so I guess that's kind of my, thing, is that yes, being a vegetarian can be very healthy, but you don't have to be a vegetarian to be healthy, and you can reduce your meat consumption without becoming a vegetarian. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. So it's funny, you hit on a couple things. Number 1, I don't lead with I'm a vegetarian, because I think for some people, they instantly tune me out. They go, oh, well, yeah, she's a lunatic. Well, I'm not going to talk to her. I'm not going to listen to her because she's. So I'm a vegetarian because I really love animals. I have friends who are chicken. I have friends who are pigs. I just can't emotionally take the stress of eating them. So that's why I cut it out. But the other thing is, you're right. So many people, they want to put themselves in a category. Now, obviously, going way more towards plant-based, almost everything is a really brilliant decision. But I don't think people have to just declare themselves, I'm a vegetarian now, or I'm a vegan. Right. Because then they have to deal with the societal pressure and the stress. Like, don't tell anybody. You don't have to declare yourself this thing, because if you are at a restaurant, you want to have steak or a shrimp or whatever, that you don't feel like you're failing. And that, much like diets, it just sends people off in the opposite direction. So, okay, eat more fruits and vegetables, less animal products. And then, if you eventually decide to give it up, so be it. But we don't all have to be so radical, right?
Yeah. And there's that flexitarian diet, which is sort of like eating mostly plants. But if I want to, like you said, have a steak every once in a while, great. I'm not going to feel guilty about it. I want a hamburger, fine. Yeah. I don't label myself as anything, but I eat mostly, plants. So I think there's a wide variety of ways that you can eat. and there shouldn't be guilt around it. And that's the other thing is I've known, people have known me for years and years and years and have no idea I'm a vegetarian. And they're like, but I've eaten with you like a million times. How do I not know that you don't eat chicken? And I'm like, because I don't preach it. I don't tell people, I don't say, and I don't make you feel guilty for eating chicken or beef or whatever around me. And I think that's key, is that it's my personal choice, just like you, it's your personal choice. I'm not gonna, and that's just how I live my life, is I don't vomit my views on top of that was a bad word, but
no, it's a good one.
Everyone else. It's just the way that I choose to eat. And I also do it mostly from an animal perspective and not even from a health perspective, even though, yes, it definitely is a healthy way to go as well. Anyway, I think we agree on that one.
We do. And realistically, there is a healthy way to include eating some animal meats in your diet. It just is.
Absolutely.
Okay, fine. So we go, all right, you do you, right? Okay, What are we on, number 5 now?
All right, we're on number 5. So here is one of my huge things is around sleep. And people say, oh, sleep. I just, I'm just so busy and I can sleep when I'm dead. And I'm like, guess what? Careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
We are finding that sleep, and I used to be this way, 20 years ago, young kids, juggling it all the kind of stuff. And well, my oldest is 18. So I guess I can't say 20 years ago, my kids were young, but you know what I'm saying? Like I used to be that burning the candle on both ends and I'll figure it out and I can get by without, the sleep and all that kind of stuff. But the older I get, the more I realize, maybe the more wiser I get, but I also, are starting to see the research and all of the things around sleep. And it's like, I have athletes all the time that are like, okay, what supplement can I take to get like the edge, for my meet coming up or my this or that or whatever. And I'm like, sleep.
Yeah, go to bed a little earlier.
Number 1 performance enhancer is sleep.
Yes.
And it's not just the quantity, it's the quality. So if I'll just give one number, I have so many tips with sleep, but I'll give number 1 tip. And this is all the sleep researchers in the world really can agree on. The one thing that helps your sleep is sleep consistency, meaning go to bed and get up around the same time every single day, including weekends. They've actually classified working third shift as a carcinogen. The World Health Organization has done that. Why? Because a person follows the 5 days of, working third shift overnight. What do they do on their 2 days off? They want to be with their family and friends who aren't working third shift. So they stay up all day and then they, their sleep gets all off. That's the problem, is when your schedule is way off. So when you're traveling time zones, which I know you do a lot, it's so difficult. So, that's just my thing is as much as, you love what you do. And so you have to travel time zones and you have to do it. You have to get up at 3:00 in the morning sometimes, and it happens. But the more we can fit that schedule, the better.
Absolutely. I feel like you and I are the same person with different color hair, Tara. I mean, my gosh. And there's a couple things is people who brag, like that's their badge of honor. I didn't get any sleep. And I think, dummy, that you should be embarrassed about that. That's something you should really work for. And then the other thing I think people would be shocked is how much I love sleep. I go hard because I love to play hard, because I love to travel and work at 1,000%. Sleep is my bestie. I don't ever, I'll sacrifice a night out or a this or that. People are like, oh, you're out race announcing, you're traveling, you're out party. I'm like, no, I'm done. If we're going to eat dinner, it's at 4:30 or 5 and I'm getting to bed at 7 and I'm going to sleep. So yeah, it's so necessary. I also love naps. I'm an excellent napper. And just I think for people to have permission to go lie down I always do it on the couch in my backyard. The heat, I've got this perfect combination, but I can sleep for 20 minutes. It's like plugging in your phone. And then I wake up, literally recharge. So yeah. Are you a napper, Tara?
I am not a napper. But, occasionally, of course, it just depends. I get migraine headaches. And so the migraine headaches like zap my energy. And so when I get that aura, I literally could like lay down on the sidewalk and fall asleep in New York City. Cause it just zaps my energy. But so here's the research is, no more than about 30 minutes of a nap, definitely no more than 40. because then it will disrupt your sleep and you won't be able to fall asleep that night. So you said the magic 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes is the magic number when it comes to naps.
So good for you. So good. I want a nap now. Maybe when we're done with the show, I'll take a nap. And we will be right back. Wouldn't it be fun to feel like a celebrity on race day? Imagine if all the spectators between the start and finish line were calling your name. Well, they would if they could. And that's why you have to tell them by ordering the Name Bib Kit at penandpaces.com. It's a waterproof, tear-proof bib. You can put it on your chest. It comes with 2 sets of alphabet stickers for you to write your name. And so as you cruise on by, everyone can say, go Katie, go Jamal, go Susie, whoever you are, they're going to cheer for you. I promise. It's a special way to race. I ran the Boston Marathon with my name on my sports bra. It felt like everybody in the town of Boston was cheering, go Fitz. And I want that for you too. So head on over to penandpaces.com right now, order your race bib, and have the time of your life. We're back. Okay, number 6.
All right, number 6. Okay, so this is my last nutrition one. And it's, I get this question. If you have one piece of advice of all the nutrition knowledge that you have, one piece of advice, what would it be? And my answer, drumroll please, is portion. It's not necessarily the what we're eating, it's the how much. That's the problem with the obesity epidemic that we have in this country and in this world, really. It's not just the US of A anymore that are leading with obesity. So, can you eat chocolate, French fries, bacon, whatever? Yeah, you can eat whatever you want, but how much and how often. So it comes down to portion and frequency of how much you're having of those maybe higher calorie, foods. And the other part is just because it's healthy doesn't mean you can eat unlimited quantities.
That's right. Yeah.
So just because you shop at Whole Foods doesn't mean you're going to be skinny, right?
Yeah.
There's lots of calories still in even healthy food, quote unquote healthy food. And so you still have to be careful of the ultimate quantity of the food that you're eating.
Brilliant. Brilliant. I love it. People need to hear it. Thank you. All right.
Absolutely.
Now, on to the non-nutrition-y stuff.
Okay. So I think you'll love this one too. And this is one thing that I have learned again as I've gotten older. So it's listening to your body. And I know that you have said this a million times as well, but sometimes your skull is very thick and you don't want to hear the information. And so here's, kind of my story is I'm like, runner. I love to run. I've done 19 full marathons. I don't even know how many half marathons I've done. Like love to run. Well, then all of a sudden running catches up to you and you've got this, hip out of alignment and this, strain and this, whatever. And so what I've realized is that I can't keep go all the time and run 50, 60, 70 mile weeks like I maybe used to be able to. And I have to cross train and I sometimes have to take a day off when I may have had something else scheduled in my training program. And maybe I do need to sleep in and get that sleep instead of getting up and doing that workout. So I think, that's one thing that I have really learned. And as you know, I've started doing, now some triathlons because I'm swimming more, I'm cycling more, I'm running less often because my body is like, no, you can't. And I strength train. That was probably, 12 years ago.
By the way.
What?
I said, yeehaw for that.
Yes, exactly. I had a friend probably 12 years ago who had a little intervention with me and he was like, Tara, all you do is run. Like you have got to do more strength training. I'm like, yeah. And I did it and I've never felt better. I haven't gone back. I cannot live without my strength training. And it's really what keeps me off the injury list as much as possible. Of course, things pop up. But it's what, and like right now I have a little plantar fasciitis. So I'm like, well, I can't run right now, but guess what? I can cycle, I can lift weights, I can swim, I can do other stuff. So I've got all these other things in my back pocket because, I've got this one little thing popping up right now and I'm going to strengthen around so that I can do what I can to try to, get the plantar fasciitis to go away.
Brilliant. You know what? You just can't be a one-trick pony, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And listen to your body. I'm going to throw Rudy under the bus, Rudy Novotny, but he is so rigid about his workouts, strength training every other day, which I love, and running. And sometimes he just feels like crap. And I say, Rudy, take a day off. No. And I like, this is your friendly neighborhood fitness expert saying, enough already. Don't go running. Don't get on your Peloton. Just freaking sit down. And, obviously I think more people have a problem with not getting up, but sometimes you need to stay down, and that's really healing. And when I do that, I show up at the gym the next day like a monster. There's something so empowering and revitalizing about me, just letting my body get all of the yuck out. And then I show up and I kill it. I get more in one workout than I would of 3 crappy workouts on the day prior. So,
and that's the thing, is you feel like crap, which means you're going to work out like crap, which means you're just, doing a cycle of crap. And so, if you were to just get the rest, or get a massage instead, or stretch instead, or do a little yoga instead. I know you love yoga. Being sarcastic. But, do something else besides the heavy, like I'm guilty of high intensity. Like I love high intensity exercise, and I will do high intensity exercise 7 days a week if I wanted to, and so I have to dial myself back a little bit and be like, you know what, little zone 2 is okay. Little, this and that. So, that's kind of what I'm learning as I'm getting older and wiser.
Brilliant. Was that number 7?
Okay, that was number 7. Yes.
Oh my gosh, so too fast, Tara.
Oh, it is going fast. Okay, don't worry, I can talk and you can talk, so we can always slow it down. All right, so here's another one: is don't sweat the small stuff. So everyone knows, well, unless this is their first time ever hearing you, knows about your cancer journey and your recovery and your triumph over cancer. Yay. And if someone doesn't know me, I am a caregiver of a person who unfortunately died from cancer. So my husband died from stomach cancer, stage 4 stomach cancer, back in 2012. And at the time, I was all about like, oh, I got to do this and that. And oh, no, I don't have time to go on vacation, and I can't do this. And just always go and worrying about things and anxiety and all that kind of stuff. And now I sit back after going through that experience, and I'm like, I just look at life so much differently than I did 12 years ago. And I just go, you know what? That really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. So I am not going to waste 1 ounce of my precious energy on that. And I'm just going to let that go so that I can focus on the things that are most important. So I love, it's an oldie but goodie book. If no one's ever heard of it, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. But it's such a great reminder that we keep our eye on the prize of things that are most important in our life, so we can let go of some of those things that just don't really matter. Oh, that person said that to me. I've never been a drama girl. And I think you are the same way. Like I've never been wrapped up in drama, and it just drives me insane. I just love to be real and genuine, and I don't get myself all worked up around the small stuff.
Well, it certainly makes life a lot more joyful to be able to let go of that stuff, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Does that ring true for you too after your experience?
To an extent where it's probably a problem. I had to recently paint the house, and I was like, I don't care what color the house is. It doesn't affect my quality of life. Why would I care what color the house is? There's all these things that are just things, and stuff that I might have been excited about 10 years ago. I could just give a rat's ass. I just feel like I don't care. I just don't care. I hate not to care. But I don't care. What I care about is quality time. I care about joy. I care about adventure and caring for people, which I so do. But when it comes to stuff, I mean, really, my house could burn down today. And as long as the people and the pets got out, oh, fine. In fact, I almost take it to a point where, and I don't ever want to be empathetic, but when people freak out over their car's damaged or their house burns down, I'm like, really?
Yeah.
stuff, so
Exactly.
I've gone in the opposite direction a little bit, but it's freeing, man. It feels good, doesn't it?
It is. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it just helps me again with that perspective. I sit back more and I look at, kind of what other people are thinking and doing and going crazy over. And it just gives me a sense of peace that
Yeah.
it's not something that's stealing my energy. So,
Yeah. So before I got diagnosed, my mantra was, it's not cancer. And so I just was like, well, it's not cancer. Off we go. And I didn't even have cancer. I thought, well, that could be the worst thing you'd have. Right. And then when I got diagnosed, all of a sudden I went, oh, okay, it's cancer. Is this the time to freak out? Am I supposed to freak out? Now, mind you, there was stress and fear and all of those things, but I couldn't even, and I hate to say I wouldn't allow myself, but I couldn't justify the full blown freak out. So then I just decided, well, I'm so lucky I'm not a kid with cancer. And it's not my kid with cancer. And instantly I started looking at a worst case scenario. For me, it was stage 2, not stage 4. There was bright sides. And so I'm a natural bright sider, but I hope people know that it's a learned skill as well. You can become a bright sider.
Yeah.
You can choose that for yourself. And every time you do, it makes it easier as you go, just like strength training, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it isn't our natural instinct sometimes to go, oh, what can I learn from this really horrible thing I'm going through right now? But if you do have that perspective of what good could possibly come out of this, then you can really grow,
Right.
grow from that. So it's not easy always to do, but it's like you said, you have to practice it.
Yeah, and we can do hard things, right? We're good at hard things.
Well, you know what? It's so funny you say that because that's my next one.
Let's go.
Number 9, literally do hard things. So the idea here is pushing yourself into discomfort, because if you are in comfort all the time, you're status quo.
Yeah.
And I don't know anyone who lives their life and goes, you know what? I'm just going to coast. I'm just going to be status quo. But, everyone wants that next best thing and to accomplish something and, whatever. And if you don't, then again, you're just starting to degrade when you're just sort of hitting that status quo. So doing hard things can mean so many different things, but there's actually an area of your brain, okay, that is called the anterior mid-cingulate cortex. Okay. That part of your brain is actually fired up when you do something that you really don't want to do. So it increases that willpower in order to do hard things. Yeah. For example, we can use lots of exercise examples. I don't want to exercise at all today. Well, I'm going to go do it. I don't want to lift this, I don't want to jump up in weight because it's going to be harder. I don't want to, cold plunge.
Yeah. Really.
My husband has a cold plunge. So I'm remarried. I said my husband and then my late husband. So I'm remarried now after losing my husband to cancer. And so my current husband, John, is the South African, and he loves doing hard things. He loves discomfort, pushing into discomfort. And one of his things is he loves the cold plunge. He loves cold water, period. And I hate being cold. But I have learned to put myself into that cold plunge. And there's, purported other benefits to cold plunging we don't need to get into specifically in this podcast. But the reason I do it is because I'm like, I really don't want to do this right now. I really don't want. Why would I want to go in that cold water? It's 45 degrees. Why would I want to do that? But I know that I'm building that little area of my brain that's putting me into discomfort. And then I know that when life brings me discomfort some other time, I have built up some willpower in my brain to be able to take on those challenges, because you're never going to get to the pearly gates without some bumps and bruises and scratches and dents. And so life knocks us around. And when we have those difficult times that sometimes do bring us to our knees and we're like, I don't know how I'm going to keep going. Yeah. Well, guess what? If I practice being in discomfort, if I practice willpower, if I practice doing hard things, then I can get through the hard things that life is going to throw at me. And so that's, I just really believe in pushing yourself, whether it's physically into discomfort or even emotionally, mentally, spiritually into discomfort on a regular basis so that I can grow. With discomfort comes growth.
That's right.
With status quo is status quo, right? And if you don't do anything, then you start to degrade. And so, pushing yourself, I think, is a really good thing.
Well, I think even if you're aiming for status quo, you start backsliding. And who strives for mediocrity? You know what? Right. I'm going to come and be like meh at everything. I'm just going to be meh. Be great at something, or at least be someone who has a variety of skills and experiences. You don't have to be really good. I'm still playing guitar. I'm still not so great at guitar, but it's still challenging me. It gives me something to focus on, something to feel proud about. And I think that's also the thing. Every time you get out of that miserable cold plunge, you probably feel like a real winner, like Tara did something bold today, right?
Absolutely. I achieved that. And, there's also benefits. Like you said, if you're doing, let's say, a crossword puzzle or Sudoku or whatever, you're also working those synapses of the brain that's helping with aging and, maybe preventing some memory decline. Like there's any time you push yourself into any kind of discomfort, there's some kind of benefit.
That's right.
To you that's going to, obviously, unless you're hurting yourself, but,
right.
That's not the kind of discomfort we're talking about. We're not talking about putting yourself into pain and tearing your meniscus. We're talking about, pushing yourself a little bit beyond that comfort zone so that you can, then achieve something a little bit better.
Yeah. Excellent advice. Excellent advice. And we will be right back.
Are you looking for the perfect gift for a loved one battling cancer? The Cancer Comeback Series by Fitz Kohler offers hope, inspiration, and practical guidance. With Your Healthy Cancer Comeback, My Noisy Cancer Comeback, and The Healthy Cancer Comeback Journal. These books are a lifeline for all patients and survivors. Right now, you can order autographed copies at a special discount. Show your support and help a loved one go from sick to strong. Visit Fitzness.com today. That's Fitzness.com. Fitzness.com.
We're back. All right, number 9.
Okay, so that I think was number 9. So we had don't sweat the small stuff, do hard things. So number 10, but remember I have a bonus. So
that's right.
We have number 11. All right, so number 10 is to follow your passion. And I know that you and I both are lucky enough to be able to do our passion as our career.
Yeah.
But you also, like, for example, your career, what would you say is your career? Or,
just helping people live better and longer.
Okay. So a fitness trainer, right? You started your life as a, personal trainer, fitness, helping people to, achieve a better life by moving more, exercise, strengthen, all that kind of stuff. And then what did you get into in the last, 10, 12 years?
Yeah. Running industry for sure.
And race announcing, right?
Yeah.
Because you weren't doing that before.
No, I was not.
So now, I don't know what percentage of your income or time or whatever is race announcing, but 20 years ago when you went to the University of Florida, you weren't going to be a race announcer.
Correct. Yeah. No, I've evolved for sure. This career
You've evolved and you found this passion for being noisy and motivating people and, noisy in the best sense as you, as you are, and so it's just, finding that passion and saying, you know what, this is really fun being behind the microphone. Let me see where this is going to lead me. And now look at the places you've traveled, the people you've met, the amazing stories that you have posted, not just in the Fitzness brand, but also in your race announcing. And it just, that's passion. Like that is passion.
Absolutely. What are your passions?
Well, thank you for asking. One of my passions is chocolate.
Yes, milk chocolate.
So, the dietitian who makes chocolate for people. But that's the thing is that I do believe that we can fit all foods into our, life. And so I do absolutely love sweets, love chocolate. And I, for years and years and years, have made these like truffles and different chocolates that I made when I was a kid. My mom and my grandma and my aunt, we would at Thanksgiving time make all this Christmas candy and then, bring it to parties on the tray and, whatever. And so many years ago, I started making the candy and packaging it and giving it to like the kids' teachers for holiday thank you, kind of thing, and give it out to some friends and family. And then it kind of blossomed from there. And then pretty soon I was giving it to like everyone I knew. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, your candy is so good. You need to do this as a business. And I was like, yeah. And so just 7 months ago, I decided that, you know what, I do enjoy making this candy. And I bet that I could sell this and let me try this out. And so I developed a little side hustle.
Really?
Called trufflesbytara.com. And I have, I think, 21 different kinds of truffles and bonbons and different candies that I make. And I can do little assorted boxes and events and, all kinds of stuff. And so I've done a couple of events where I have my candy there and people buy, different boxes of I'll go down and put different flavors in different boxes. I've done some events now where, I'll bring it to a workplace for, a snack break or whatever, that kind of thing. So it's just fun. And it's funny because people are like, oh my gosh, you just light up so much when you start talking about your chocolate. I'm like, I know. Isn't it fun?
I got to tell you, my jaw has been stuck open since you started talking about this. I love this so much. And how's it going?
So it's, it's going well. I need to figure out what I really want to do with it. I'm calling it a side hustle because it is a side hustle. What I don't want is to be stuck at a farmer's market every weekend, and especially in Florida, it's chocolate. So to be outside with chocolate, it melts in, a heartbeat. So the events I've done, they've been indoors. And, in the summertime, especially, I haven't done, a whole lot of that kind of stuff, but I'm just trying to get the word out for, again, I've had realtors and financial planners and different kind of people order boxes to give out to clients as client appreciation or, nurses week or, stuff like that. That's really where I want to try to do events and corporate and stuff like that, where I can just make it for special orders because, right now I'm in cottage law where I'm making it out of my kitchen. If I get big enough, I do have a commercial kitchen, a friend that has one that I can use, but, I'm not going to have 21 kinds of candy available. I don't have a storefront that, you can just walk in and I want one of these and one of those and two of those, So, it's kind of, so I'm trying to hit, holiday, like Mother's Day, Father's Day, grad, that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's going well.
Oh my God, listeners. So every last one of us needs to go trufflesbytara.com and order some chocolate. We can just order a box.
Yeah.
And you ship?
You know what? I've shipped before I had it as a company. I shipped to some of my aunts and whatever in different states, and I've been able to do that. So I do need to figure out, especially in the summertime, I need to have some kind of, cold packs and stuff like that. So I haven't quite figured out, how to do that, but I can.
Yeah, let's talk because I've had to learn a lot about packaging and stuff like that and shipping and things. That's awesome. That is so exciting. I'm going to be an instant customer. I'm very excited. Plus, I love milk chocolate too. I think it's people look at us and they think they're perfect. They're this. Not at all. Not even a little perfect. And, if I don't have a piece of chocolate every day, it's a sad day.
Yeah, no, I literally have I gave it up for Lent 1 year and that was 1 year too many.
Yeah. So. Stupid woman. Do you do chocolate covered popcorn?
I can dip anything in chocolate. Let's just point out. So one of the things that has been most popular that I never did when I was doing it as Christmas candy is chocolate covered Oreos. And my kids believe that they should have milk chocolate covered Oreos in the fridge at all times at their disposal. They're like, where are the Oreos? I'm like, you ate them because you ate 8 yesterday. Right. They just think they should be there all the time. And I will say they are addictive. Oh, they're so good. But I love that you said the milk chocolate too, because I do love dark chocolate, of course, but there is a time and a place for when I want that, kind of milkier flavor as well. And I have some different white chocolate, like I make a Biscoff bonbon that I dip in white chocolate, which is really delicious. And yeah, so.
Wow. I'm blown away. I am blown away. This is fascinating. Also, you should know that many years ago, maybe 10 years ago, I took Ginger to Wisconsin with me to the Dells and in the resort, which was so cool with all there was go-kart riding and a water park and all sorts of interesting things. The thing she remembers from that trip is eating chocolate covered Oreo that was dressed like a Ninja Turtle. And so
yes,
2 hours. She's like, remember we got that Ninja Turtle Oreo?
Oh my gosh, I love that. But to answer your question, yes, I can do chocolate popcorn.
Okay. I'm very excited about this. This is very exciting. Okay. Passions. Everyone's got to have a passion. And how
Absolutely.
Even more fortunate when your passion turns into your profession, and then really getting up to earn a living is the best thing in the world. So I love that you're doing that.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Well, or even if it is a side hustle, it's fine. Or if it's not about making money, your passion could be, like for a lot of us, our passion is running and doing races and, all that kind of stuff. So it can be anything, but having that, what drives you, what gets you excited, what brightens your face when you start talking about it.
Yeah, everybody deserves a little delightfulness in their days for sure. Okay, now the bonus.
Oh, the bonus.
In the bonus round.
Okay, so you're going to love this one. So for those listeners out there that don't know this already about Fitz, she has a not so secret obsession with Diet Coke. And some of you might say, oh my gosh, you're a fitness person. You're a dietitian. How can you drink diet soda? Isn't that going to kill you? No. Okay. So I'm holding up, for those of you who are listening, but not watching, I'm holding up my obsession, which is Dr. Pepper Zero. I also am a huge fan of A&W Zero. So, here's the deal is that moderation is the key with everything, right? So if you have a diet soda or 2 a day or 3, it's really not a big deal. You put some Splenda or Equal or, aspartame, sweet and low, whatever in your coffee, like it's better than plain sugar. So I truly will go to my grave saying that a diet soda is absolutely better than a regular soda because of the, high glycemic of, sugar and of course calories and, all that kind of stuff. But, the diet sodas are not horrible for you. Yeah. And if you think they are, then don't drink them. But quit making the rest of us feel guilty about them, because they are probably, the non-nutritive sweeteners are probably the most studied food substance in our food supply. Like legit, because they're so flammable, like people, not flammable literally, but what I'm saying? People are so
nice. Yeah.
And so they keep studying it and studying it and studying it and studying it. And then one little research study will come out that was really poorly done on rats. And then people get all up in arms about it again. And then a couple of years later, another one will come up. But when you look at the meta-analysis, when you look at the research around all of them, whether it's the pink, the blue, the yellow, the green, the orange. I mean, now we have monk fruit that's orange and, stevia that's green and, all the different colors. They're perfectly safe for most people. Again, if you have an allergy, you have an allergy. But for most people, they're fine and they pass through your body undigested and they're perfectly fine.
That feels so good. That feels so good. I love hearing you say that. And the biggest critiques or criticizers are always like the brand new yoga instructor. Someone just got certified and then they see me with a Diet Coke. They're like, oh my gosh, you're this. And I feel like, shut up. Just shut up.
I used to try to hide it from clients or whatever. Like I would not hide it, but like I would purposely not have it like sitting on the counter if I was, in a certain audience of people or whatever. And then finally I was like, screw it. I know the research. I'm a health professional. I know that this is not, causing brain cancer or whatever. Like, so I just, now I just go, okay, you have your opinion. I have my opinion and I'm going to continue to drink it because it brings me joy.
Yeah. Tastes great. Tastes great. It's funny. There was this one woman, she was in terrible shape too, overweight, terrible shape. And she started lecturing me. She's like, aspartame causes formaldehyde on the brain. What? No, it doesn't. Yeah, I know it does. All right. Well, I feel like you really know a lot, lady. So thanks for that golden advice. I mean, yeah.
They use Diet Coke to clean toilets in whatever. And I'm like, oh gosh, okay. All right, that's great. Use Diet Coke to clean your toilet.
Yeah, do it. Oh, that's great. You are the queen. Do you have any idea how much I love you?
You know what? My goal in life is to brown nose Fitz-Kohler. And so I feel like I earned a lot of points today to help the Fitz-Kohler be who she is.
Well, you have done a lot for me, and everybody should know that I'm working on the new book. It's due out in fall, and there's a handful of chapters dedicated exclusively to nutrition. And I went straight to Tara and I said, would you please read my chapters and tell me where I was wrong? And she gave back such wonderful feedback, a lot of just nuanced stuff that
nothing was wrong. Let's just point out, nothing was wrong. It was just maybe word it a little different this way. And it was great. I can't wait to see the finished product.
Oh, well, I'm so excited. And to get your stamp of approval means everything to me.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think the world of not only your knowledge. I mean, I know how intelligent you are. I know you know your stuff. You are the A+ talent in the registered dietitian world, but you're just such a good person too. You're just such a good person. I remember sitting on a bus. We were coming back, I think, from Disney Marathon weekend or from the race to the hotel. We're at Animal Kingdom Lodge where Disney put us the big VIPs and with Bob Hitchcock. And Bob said, do you know her? And I said, no, I don't. And he told me about you. And he told me that your husband had just passed and you ran the marathon and for you and in his honor. I was like, damn, that's got to be hard, And I just took instant liking to you and thought, wow, what a strong, strong woman. And then you're so effing fun and interesting and you're such a great mom. And I love you. I really do.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, those were some tough years. Those Run Disney years of me being the nutritionist for Run Disney were kind of bittersweet. I loved doing it, but it was the difficult years when Stephen was, fighting his battle against cancer and then lost it. But it's such a gift to be able to go to Disney because it is the happiest place on earth, right? And so you could go there and like the kids were little at the time. And so we could go and have fun and just sort of escape. Yeah. And those were some really good years. It was, everything comes in our life for a reason. And I think Disney had that place in my life when I needed it to take me through those difficult years. And of course, it brought the two of us together.
Yeah, there's been a lot of benefit to all of that time. Also, I do remember you showing up at Animal Kingdom one year. I don't remember how long after, but you're like, I met a guy, he's South African, and you showed me a picture, and I was like, whoa. On you, Tara.
There we go.
Married that one. Atta girl. That all worked out. And the other thing I'd like you to come back on the show is I know you're part of the Young Women's, or is it Young Women's Club?
Young Widows
Club.
Yeah. Modern Widows Club.
Okay.
Modern Widows Club. All ages.
Okay. I think that's fascinating. And there's so many people out in Fitzness land who have lost loved ones. And I'd love for you. And you said you recommended the president of the club.
Yeah.
But I think that's a very interesting topic and we could all benefit from that. So maybe you'll come back on soon.
Absolutely. I would love to.
Okay. All right. You're not escaping. You have to give another communication tip and another song of the week. So what you got for us?
Oh my gosh. My communication tip is to listen with your eyes. Oh, what does that mean? It means that you do not sit there and look at your phone and glance at someone and go, yeah, sure, and multitask when someone else is trying to talk to you. That is one of my biggest pet peeves is when I'm talking to someone and they'll glance down at their Apple Watch because a text just came through, or they'll glance at their phone and whatever. And I'm like, hello. So, listening in general is a good communication tip, but I think just, really looking at someone so that they know that you have that they have your undivided attention.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Also, I think the looking at the phone and stuff is rude.
Absolutely.
Rude. That's a great tip. And then song of the show.
Oh my gosh. Song of the show.
And folks, she's going to give you a song to add to your workout playlist. So whether you're whatever kind of exercise you're doing,
it has to be a high energy.
It doesn't have to. It's whatever you want it to be.
So I have a very, again, not so secret obsession with Neil Diamond.
Ooh.
I know. And he's fighting Parkinson's right now. He does not tour anymore, but I happen to have seen him 3 times in concert. One time I went to a concert all by myself, and because I just love Neil Diamond. And so, the usual Sweet Caroline is a good one. But I really love all Neil Diamond songs. Oh gosh. What could be one of my absolute favorites? Let's just go. You know what? Today, keep coming to America today. That's a good one too. It's a good one to just shout out and kind of dance to.
Okay, that's a great choice, especially when you sing it for us. So,
my husband tells me that I'm allowed to dance but not sing.
Okay, all right. Don't ever follow that advice. You got to sing louder.
No, he says, you dance like a dream is what he says in his South African accent. And I'm like, oh, I thank you. He goes, but don't sing.
Oh my gosh. That's so funny. Okay. Listen, everybody out there, you have to go to dietdiva.net and Diet Diva on Instagram.
Diet Diva Tara on Instagram.
Did somebody else take generic Diet Diva?
You know what? I don't think so, but that's just what I did a long time ago. Oh, and then also Truffles by Tara on Instagram.
Truffles by Tara. And then it's, is it trufflesbytara.com?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, we're all going shopping ASAP. Folks, if you haven't done so yet, click subscribe, for crying out loud, leave a comment, leave a review on this show because Tara made it so great. And then you know what to do, Tara. Tell them what to do.
Get moving.
Try it again.
Oh, shoot. I don't know.
Get to
work.
Get to work. We love you. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, this is Rudy Novotny, the voice of America's Marathons. We all love how much running has benefited every aspect of our lives, so much so that most of us only wish we'd started sooner. Wouldn't it be wonderful to gift the opportunity to children of today? Well, you can. The Morning Mile is a before-school walking and running program that gives children a chance to start each day in an active way while enjoying fun, music, and friends. That's every child, every day. It's also supported by a wonderful system of rewards, which keeps students highly motivated and frequently congratulated. Created by our favorite fitness expert, Fitz Kohler, Morning Milers across the country have run over 2 million miles and are having greater success with academics, behavior, and sports because of it. The Morning Mile is free to the child, free to the school, and is inexpensively funded by businesses or generous individuals. Help more kids get moving in the morning by visiting morningmile.com. Champion the program at your favorite school or find out more about sponsorship opportunities. That's morningmile.com. Long may you run.